the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 5:30. Streaming now.
Now at 5:30, rain and storm chances tonight for anyone who may be hitting the roads for Thanksgiving. Kevin is tracking what's ahead. And in a historic Johnson County theater working to keep the holiday magic alive during the pandemic with a unique opportunity for you and your friends. Lindsay.
Topping our lineup, we're seeing the first evidence of a surgery lowering the risk of having a severe reaction to COVID-19. We're looking at the challenges to gaining access to the procedure. With long lines at COVID testing sites nationwide, we're looking at what's next for at-home tests, what it's going to take to make those tests available to more of us. Changes to Black Friday this year may make you more likely to overspend. What you need to watch out for so it doesn't happen to you.
This is an improvement, believe it or not. I see city lights. The low clouds have parted a little bit, and you start to see the city lights coming up. If you just watch the low clouds this afternoon, you see how quickly they're moving. That's an indication of the stronger winds above ground level, and it's that changing wind direction that helps enhance some of the downpours and will at least keep a small chance that we could have an isolated strong to severe storm. Our rain chances are going to peak around 7 o'clock. This is in the metro area. It will go a little longer to the east, but in general, you see how quickly then our rain chances drop after that in the Indianapolis area. 52 temperature in Richmond, western portion of the state holding on to the upper 50s. Lafayette at 57, 56 in Terre Haute. Temperatures as we go through the night tonight will drop into the 40s, so we'll stay relatively mild. Here's the leading edge of a more put together, I'd say, solid line of moderate, in some cases heavy rainfall. The good news is it doesn't stay in any one spot very long and then moves on. There'll be additional more spotty showers come back into western Indiana. As far as our main threat from any stronger storms this evening, it would be this wind, because it's windy independent of any of the showers and storms that are out there now. 7 o'clock tonight, the main area of rain to the northeast, still the last little piece of rain moving north and east with that low pressure that I showed you that was spinning over portions of Illinois. Our temperatures in the 40s for the morning. We've got temperatures in the low 20s during the morning hours as we move into early next week. There's your hourly Thanksgiving forecast. That is your weather menu. As we go through the day tomorrow, temperatures don't change a whole lot. They're in the 40s in the morning, maybe into the lower 50s in the afternoon, but dry. That's a key.
Thanks, Kevin. Many families have favorite traditions during the Christmas season, and one historic site in Johnson County is normally gearing up for its busiest time of the year, but not this year due to the pandemic. The Art Craft Theater is being forced to pivot. This is a look at the theater bustling with people in downtown Franklin during a normal Christmas season. On a typical weekend night during the Christmas season, thousands flock to 57 North Main Street and wait in line under the marquee sign for a ticket, a bucket of popcorn, and a seat to enjoy classic holiday films. Due to the coronavirus, they are not able to host their holiday classics for the public, but they do have a plan to generate income. And the community in Franklin is coming together as this change impacts everyone in the downtown business district.
When we were normally seeing 12,000 people through the doors in a month's time, that was such a boost at the end of the year to see all of this traffic come through, not only for us, but all of our neighbors as well.
It's like the business community especially is like very close-knit, it seems like.
Man, I don't know of another community that has such a tight-knit business community as we do, because we know we can only succeed by the other people's success as well.
Yeah, no,
so we all have to lift each other up.
The Art Craft Theater needs your help in these tough times, and so they are offering private screenings of classic holiday movies, socially distanced for you and up to 45 friends. They also have their concession stand open on weekends, so you can buy Art Craft popcorn to go. They also have merchandise and gift cards available. For more ways to support historic Art Craft Theater and the great work Franklin Heritage does in the community, you can click on this story. Go to WRTV.com. One other way to help the Art Craft Middle David Candles, a small shop in Franklin, is selling Art Craft caramel corn candles. $10 of every candle purchased will be donated to the Art Craft. You can buy one in the store or online. Lindsay.
Something you may not think about discussing over your Thanksgiving meal tomorrow are the health conditions in your family.
I think it's particularly important this year in the COVID landscape because the last thing we want are additional conditions for a person to face if they're already at exposure for COVID.
Thanksgiving is also National Family Health History Day. The CEO of the Caregiver Action Network says it's extremely common that people don't know the details of their family history when it comes to certain conditions. And that could be everything from high blood pressure to heart issues. It's not really an easy conversation to have, but the holiday, especially if it's happening over Zoom this year, can make the topic easier to bring up.
When you make it clear that it's really in everybody's best interest that we know what diseases that the aunts and uncles and the grandparents and everybody faced is really to everybody's benefit, then maybe it's a little easier to have the conversation.
Typically, Thanksgiving is also a time you can check in on family members that you haven't seen in person for several months. If those in-person visits aren't happening because of COVID, the Caregiver Action Network says you want to make sure you're asking questions over video chat that you'd normally be able to observe in person. Things like making sure your family member doesn't have bills piling up or there aren't rugs or hazards in their home that could cause them to fall. Checking the news feed. I hate to be a bummer the day before Thanksgiving, but check your crock pots. There's a recall on the Crock Pot 6-quart Express multi-cooker. It can pressurize while the lid isn't locked, causing it to detach while cooking. So here are the date codes to check on the bottom of the base. You can still use it for slow cooking and sauteing, but stop using it in the pressure cooker mode. Comcast will start imposing a cap on internet usage in the Northeast starting next year, 14 states, including D.C. After you hit 1.2 terabytes of data a month, you'll be charged $10 per 50 gigabytes. Customers will be notified as they get closer to that gap. CDC is recommending you eat outside for Thanksgiving, and if you're looking for an outdoor heater, you're in luck. Propane prices are the lowest for this time of year in more than a decade. Next in our lineup, we've heard that more people are looking to bariatric surgery as a way to prevent severe symptoms of COVID. Well, now there's new evidence that's backing this up.
With the economy still very slow due to the pandemic, more Hoosiers are taking advantage of Thanksgiving meal giveaways to help feed their families tomorrow. This morning, more than 300 meal boxes were handed out during a drive-through giveaway event sponsored by the Little Timmy Project and Cafe Baby. That's the Northeast Side store that makes handmade baby food.
We know the need is there right now, especially around the holidays, so we just want to take that burden off of families.
88 Central Indiana families registered for today's giveaway. Each family received an entire Thanksgiving meal, along with diapers and baby formula.
We've talked in depth about obesity being a high risk factor for a worse outcome from COVID-19. We've also learned about increased interest in bariatric surgery since the pandemic started. Now there's some evidence the procedure does in fact lower a person's risk of severe symptoms.
And when the metabolic profile of the patients improve, patients are getting healthier and seems like they can fight the virus stronger and their outcomes going to be better.
The Bariatric Institute at the Cleveland Clinic identified patients who had weight loss surgery prior to getting COVID. It matched them against a control group of obese patients who also got COVID. Only 18% of those who had the surgery were hospitalized with COVID compared to 42% of the obese patients. None of the people in the surgery group ended up in the ICU, on a ventilator, or died, and some in the obesity group did. Doctors believe because they had the surgery, that group was healthier. Dr. Aminia says the number of bariatric patients at the Cleveland Clinic is almost double what it was last year. He stressed it's a very safe, but not simple procedure.
It's a tool. It's a very safe tool. It's a very effective tool. We give the tool to the patient and we help them in the journey, but patient needs to use the tool to succeed.
Bariatric surgery candidates meet with a dietitian, psychologist, regular doctor, and surgeon before and after the surgery. Now, this is video of the procedure from the Cleveland Clinic. Now, despite the evidence of weight loss and surgery improving numerous conditions, including now likely lowering COVID severity, access is still an issue. Even those with insurance may still only get a portion of the surgery paid for. More in our lineup. Taking a COVID test in the comfort of your own home. When will it be possible, and how reliable will they be? For years, people have looked to harness the power of the ocean. As Maya Rodriguez tells us, researchers have found a new way seawater might more easily become a new form of fuel.
Beyond the beaches of the world, lies the potential for oceans of energy.
Very excited about this.
Professor Bruce Logan and researchers at Penn State University recently created a device that removes salt from seawater in a cheaper way, allowing that water to then be used to create a renewable form of hydrogen fuel. They shared these photos showing them working on the device in their lab.
Well, there's a lot of interest in renewable hydrogen. Most of the hydrogen made today is made from fossil fuels, and so we're interested in making that hydrogen from water.
That involves splitting water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen. The problem? Seawater also has salt, which needs to be removed first, and that's expensive. But the seawater electrolyzer that Logan and his team worked on takes care of that issue cheaply, using a special membrane and without requiring expensive desalination plants.
But hydrogen's a great fuel. It's been examined as a fuel for many decades now.
The findings were recently published in the Journal of Energy and Environmental Science.
About 97% of all the water on Earth is in the ocean, which means if there could be an efficient way to use it to make hydrogen fuel, it could be a game changer.
Now, as we look to decarbonize our fossil fuel infrastructure, we also can use it primarily for heavy-duty vehicles. Airbus is looking to actually make airplanes that fly on hydrogen.
However, the device from Logan and his team would need to be scaled up to a much larger version.
There are many nations and companies and nations across the world looking to do this. One of the biggest proposed hydrogen plants is in Saudi Arabia, $5 billion. I would hope to convince them that it might be cheaper and better to use seawater. Directly, in a system like this.
Which might one day create a bridge between our energy needs on land and the power in the sea. I'm Maya Rodriguez reporting.
Even if you're not a football fan, there's a special event you might not want to miss during tomorrow's Dallas Cowboys game.
I love helping people, and I haven't found a better year to actually try and help somebody. It's a great way to put some love back in 2020.
Award-winning singer Kane Brown is helping raise awareness about the desperate need of the Red Kettle's Rescue Christmas campaign. Tomorrow he's performing during the halftime show. The commissioner of the Salvation Army and Cowboys management also talked about the impact of the pandemic.
The Christmas Kettle campaign is at risk because of the fact that we have fewer retail locations, we have less foot traffic, there's a national coin shortage.
We have seen such need this year. As a matter of fact, we have seen people who used to be donors to the Salvation Army and are now receivers of their generosity and of their gifts of food and shelter. And this is our chance to be able to give back.
The Salvation Army expects a 155% increase in people asking for help over the holidays this year. You can help by donating at a Red Kettle or at rescuechristmas.org.
Do you go all out for the holidays with your home's light display? Well, we want to see it. Submit a photo of your home's holiday light display and be entered for a chance to win tickets to the 2020 Christmas Nights of Lights drive-through light show at the State Fairgrounds. Your photo may also show up on the news at 7. The contest ends on December 6th. Go to the WRTV app for more details. Kevin.
Temperatures across central Indiana tell part of the story. I'm looking in now in Bartholomew County at a thunderstorm warning for a severe storm just north of Columbus, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. You've seen the crawl at the bottom of your screen. May produce some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We'll keep our eye on that. This is exactly what we were talking about as far as the storms this evening. Let's work our way through this. There's the line that's been strongest to the south. Shelbyville down to Columbus and also Seymour. We'll move in closer. There's the warning. See the orange area, that until 6:15. And this storm is showing some weak rotation right in here, northeast portions then of the county to the north and east of Columbus. So why do we look at rotation? Rotation gives us an indication that the storm may hold together longer and also more likely to produce at least some form of severe weather, in this case damaging wind. But when there's rotation, keep our eye on the possibility of a tornado as well. That's one of the things when you get this shear in the atmosphere, that change in wind direction and speed from ground level to just above ground level. We've got lots of that today, but we have very little what we call instability, that warm, moist air to rise. Metro area, some rain showers, nothing strong here. This is just good general moderate to heavy rainfall. Anderson on up to Marion, about ready to roll through Muncie as well, and Peru. Back into western Indiana. Another line, although notice it's not as wide, as impressive. All of this is moving fairly quickly, which will cut down on any heavy rainfall amounts in any one spot, at least from this latest contribution. 48 in Gary, 57 in Evansville, temperature 54 in Columbus. As we go through the evening hours, by the time we get to 7, everything pushing kind of to the east and northeast of Indy and then spiraling out of the state. We dry out. We try to clear out a little bit tomorrow, but I think the clouds will hold in there. We'll call it mostly cloudy through the day. Temperatures from the mid to upper 40s north of Indy. These are your Thanksgiving Day temperatures. Not bad, 51 in the metro area. And to the south, temperatures in the low 50s through Thursday afternoon. And again, that's with lots of cloud cover. Strongest storm northeast of Columbus right now. Taylorsville in the path of the storm as well.
UPS is boosting its dry ice production capabilities. It's topping the news feed. The company is preparing for vaccine distribution. It can now produce up to 1,200 pounds of dry ice per hour at its facilities. The CDC now says if you're looking to travel abroad, you should not take 1, but 3 COVID tests before and after your flight. They're urging people not to fly, but it's not stopping millions of people from traveling this holiday. Some good news, your face mask likely doesn't expire. The FDA says the masks, specifically surgical ones, may still offer protection after they pass their designated shelf life. However, if they're disposable, throw them away after 1 use. For most of us, Thanksgiving is going to look a little different this year. Dinners outside if you can, social distancing, or passing on family gatherings altogether. As we all hope to rebound from the pandemic, our Amanda Brandeis is asking how soon until we'll be able to take a simple at-home test before going to a holiday dinner or party.
From food allergies to pregnancy, we rely on tests to help us prepare for the future.
Really got to understand more about the diagnostics marketplace years ago and thought that it was an underserved part of the market for healthcare.
Technology from the company Biodot has been helping companies make these tests for decades.
It's like an inkjet printed drop of fluid.
Their machines dispense tiny droplets of fluid on testing devices, accurately and fast.
A system like this, run under typical conditions, could probably produce between 50 and 75 million tests per year.
And now over 70 manufacturers are using these systems to make COVID tests. CEO Tony Lemo says they've decreased production time from months to weeks, building a new facility to meet customer demand.
For people to feel comfortable that they can associate with friends and family, there needs to be a testing methodology, ideally, that can be performed at home.
One that provides quick results, similar to a pregnancy test.
It would be smaller than this, too.
The FDA's approved one rapid at-home test that gives results in 30 minutes, but getting it will require a doctor's prescription. Testing companies hope the FDA will soon authorize a different type of at-home testing tool, the rapid antigen test.
So 2 lines would be positive, 1 line would be negative.
The inexpensive tests provide results in minutes. Companies developing them believe millions could be sold without a doctor's referral, but they're less accurate than the tests done in labs.
So I worry you have mass testing at home, you're going to have false positives, you're going to have false negatives, and people aren't going to trust testing.
Clinical lab director Dr. Melissa Miller believes scaling at-home testing should be done with caution.
Even at 98% specificity, which is very, very high, that means you're going to have a false positive rate 2 out of every 100. You start testing 100 million people, this is millions of people who have a false positive test.
And false negative results could give people a false sense of security.
Rapid antigen tests were pushed out to skilled nursing facilities, right? This is a very high-risk patient population. This is actually where you want a very accurate test.
And she says it's unclear how well they detect the virus in people with no symptoms.
It might make more sense in like K through 12 schools.
But with a growing demand for convenient at-home testing, manufacturers are hopeful that in the months ahead, the FDA will open the door to new solutions. In Irvine, California, I'm Amanda Brandeis reporting.
Finally, in our lineup, changes to Black Friday this year may make you more likely to overspend. What you need to watch out for so this doesn't happen to you. Our personality affects the decisions that we make, including how we shop. And as we know, Black Friday is going to be a little bit different this year. Those changes, along with having certain types of personalities, may not help our wallets. Being impulsive can lead people to make quick decisions and buy things without really thinking about it. And now that a lot of these Black Friday deals are online, it can trigger that impulsiveness, partly because we're not physically handing money over to someone.
When there's no cash involved and there's no real, kind of exchange like that, it's just almost like this kind of single swipe. That really makes it a lot harder for us to engage the part of our brain that helps us make that decision in the best way for us.
The stress we're all feeling this year can also be a trigger. You might have family members who are sick. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you're stressed just because you haven't seen your family in a while and you won't be able to during the holidays. Psychologists say we may resort to shopping to feel like we have some kind of control.
If it does feel like shopping is a way to manage difficult emotions, thinking about what some other strategies might be to do that. If it's talking to a friend, if it's kind of doing some other kinds of relaxing activities or stress reduction activities.
In addition to this, some things that we can do to control our shopping is getting rid of apps that have a single swipe or single tap payment option. If you know you're going to be shopping online, give yourself 24 hours to think about a purchase before you pay for it. That'll help you think about whether you really need or want it. UPS and Fedex are trying to get more delivery vans to keep up with the surge in online shopping. The factory closures that happened at the start of the pandemic are part of the reason for the shortage now. The companies tell Bloomberg they don't expect this to impact how much they can deliver. Voting for a political race on your cell phone is being tested in limited numbers in the country. Voters in some primary races used it this year and coming up tomorrow, how it works and what's happened to voter numbers in places where they've tested this.
I'll give you a chance to focus here for a second. Columbus up to Shelbyville. Between the two is where we have a severe thunderstorm capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds moving to the northeast. More on that and the rest of central Indiana's downpours coming next.